So, guys, I want to talk about AEW Collision, and um, this video is going to be a little bit about the Blood and Guts match. That they're talking about women's Blood and Guts. Jamie Hayter and Queen Aminata got beaten down by the Triangle of Madness, and what happened was Jamie Hayter got beaten down. The Triangle of Madness came out, and then Queen Aminata announced Blood and Guts. So I'm a little worried about this match because I think that one thing that they can do is have this match on an AEW show or a Collision show, and I think that that'll be a very, very, very poor decision. I think that this match 100% needs to happen at Dynasty, no, at Wrestle Dream, and the reason why you do this is because first of all, Blood and Guts is not a television match because the problem is that they can't be as violent as possible. And I think that there's such an appeal to Blood and Guts. It's like a Hell in a Cell match. Why would you have a Hell in a Cell match every single time on a Raw or a SmackDown? It would be just like if you had Mick Foley and Undertaker, their match, not a King of the Ring, a pay-per-view where people are paying extra money to see it. You have it on regular Raw or whatever, really. That just makes no sense. So they need to kind of get out of that pattern. I also think the other thing, too, is that, it really does a lot for the women's division to have a Blood and Guts match. So it's almost like, where do you want to have your first women's Blood and the Guts match? Do you want to have it on a Dynamite episode or do you want to have it on a pay-per-view? The other thing that I'm going to say is that last time I checked a few weeks ago, that the Chief Fitz Arena in St. Louis, they actually had less than 4,000 people. They had around like 4,000 people. So, you want to make that arena have a lot more people. You want to try to make it like a 10,000 or 12,000 or 16,000. I think the maximum capacity is 16,000 people. If you really, really want to sell that arena out, wouldn't you want to do something like have a Blood and Guts match and have like shit like that really there and stuff like that? Or do you want to be like, hey, we're in Florida, we're doing like a bunch of Florida shows, so we're just gonna randomly have it there? Or hey, we're gonna go to Texas, after St. Louis, and we're gonna do it there? No, this is one of these times where AEW has to do a polar shift. It would be extremely stupid to not do that. And then also too with your pay-per-views, number one, you do not want to become TNA wrestling where they're having Bound for Glory in front of 3,000 people. If you have Chief Fitz in front of like 4,000 people or 5,000 people, that's a very bad look for AEW, especially since, they went from 25, they went to 25,000 people in Texas to 20,000 in London to a little over like 10 or 11,000 in Toronto. Do you want to just do a drastic like dive really in that? You need to kind of make these shows bigger and better. And then my last argument is that you don't have a lot of matches that you can create for this pay-per-view. So why not have a Blood and Guts match? Why not have an hour-long match? Why not have, a match that takes up a chunk of time, and then this is also a good experiment for AEW because one of the big criticisms of AEW is that their pay-per-views are way too long and that they have way too many matches. If you count the pre-show, an average AEW pay-per-view is around 13, 14 matches, and one of the issues with this company is that they drag things out a little too long. Like Kyle Fletcher and Hangman was like 40 minutes. I'm not sure how long the Triple Threat match was, but it went on a little too long. And one of the criticisms of All Out was that they did a lot of just extensions of many, many matches, really. So if you have a Blood and Guts match and you say, hey, at Wrestle Dream, there's not a lot of matches that we're doing on this card. Hey, what if we have an 8-match card with one match being like, 45 minutes to an hour, because that's usually the length of Blood and Guts, really. Like, what would happen if we do that? And I also think that, with their television ratings, they've been doing all right, really. I mean, there needs to be a lot of improvement, really. So I think what I'm trying to say is Blood and Guts would pop a rating but it would not be that big of a pop. They may get a few, like maybe 50 to 100,000 more people watching, really. But I would rather see that payoff happen at AEW, like at an AEW pay per view, really, to say that, hey, our pay per views are special and unique, really, and we don't need to put all like the great stuff on our shows, really, because the problem is if you put a lot of great stuff on your shows, then you have nothing for your pay per views, and that's kind of been the issue that they had last year. When I think like last year they had AEW Grand Slam, then they had AEW Anniversary, then they had like a special show in Pittsburgh, and then they had Battle of the Belts, and then they had a Ring of Honor show, and then they had their October Wrestle Dream. So if you have like too many back-to-back weeks of special shows, that's not good. Or you don't want to do like Blood and Guts, a week or two after that, really. You have to kind of figure out how you're going to do Blood and Guts at Chief Fits, really. And there's two ways to do it. You can have the regular Blood and Guts, it's a 2-ring setup, or you can say, hey, we're going to alter this a little bit because we only have 1 ring or something like that. There's a lot that they can do. They can even do something like say, hey, you know what, we can set it up. We can have a street fight or whatever to tear down the ring or whatever. We can get extra ring crew to kind of like, do whatever, make this a 1 ring thing if they need to just do whatever to kind of make it for Chief Fits or whatever. But I just think 100% really, this has to be at the Chief Fits Arena, and it has to be on a pay-per-view because it makes no sense to put this on television. If they put it on television, it would be really, really, really stupid because this is appropriate for a pay-per-view, and no ifs, ands, or buts about that.